Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
Hi students, welcome to the session. In this session, we are going to talk about what is your responsibility as a citizen to reduce the amount of garbage that you produce. The very first thing which you can do is think and throw. That means before throwing anything into the garbage, first think whether or not you can use it in one way or the other. Now, if you look at this particular wall, you will be able to see that there are different bottles. These are the plastic bottles that we use for different cold drinks, right? And usually in our houses, what we do is that we drink the cold drink and we throw away these bottles. So over here you can see that how beautifully the bottles have been reused to plant trees and to plant these small plants which are very decorative and looks very nice. Similarly, you can do the same thing with the glass bottles that you might, that might have been broken. Suppose if a glass bottle has been broken in this way, right? Suppose it has been broken into the half. So over here also you can use it for different purposes. You can use it and make it a pot, right? And in this way, you will be able to utilize the garbage that you produce, right? So there are various ways in which you can reuse the garbage that you are producing. You can make different things using these garbage materials, right? These are the things which are, like we've seen, that these are useful things, right? When we throw this garbage away, what we are doing is we are increasing the load of the people who separate the useful and the non-useful things, right? So also we are increasing the amount of garbage that we are producing. So whatever we do, we should always think before we throw it. This is about the things like your plastic bottles, your glass bottles, right? You can do various craft. You can make a pen holder out of it, right? And you can do various things with it. Then the next important part of the garbage that we are producing on daily basis is paper, right? So paper is produced every day from our day-to-day life. Even as a student also, you write down on a notebook, maybe you tear up a page, you throw it away. So instead of doing all that, right, so suppose there is a notebook which is completely full and you want to throw it away. One thing is that you take all these notebooks and your books, and if these are important notes, you can pass it over to your juniors, or you can give to somebody who really needs, right? So books can be donated. Instead of throwing them away, we can donate it. Things like newspapers, right? Those can be given to people like in Hindi we call it the kabadi walas, right? So you can give it to them because those people actually help in recycling these things. So one thing is that you can do it. Suppose now you have a A4 sheet paper, and or maybe a single paper here and there is lying around. So instead of throwing those papers away into the garbage bin, what you can do is you can create beautiful craft items from this. One way to do is to create paper mache. So what is a paper mache? Let's understand that. So first of all, right? So it is a paste that is made up of, it's a paste that is made up of paper and clay. Also sometimes we can also mix rice husk in it, right? So basically it is a paper mache which is made up of paper and clay, and this is a paste which while it is wet is you can mold it into different ways. Over here you can see that these cups, basically these decorative cups, are made by the paper mache, right? So to make this kind of bowls, like these are very beautiful bowls, to make this kind of bowls, what you can do is that suppose you take a big bowl and you make this paste, and also you can add different colors to it depending on what kind of paper mache color you want. Like you can add the red color into it, you can add the red ink, and you can make the paper red, and then you can take that say for example, if you want, you can take that bowl and put this paste over that and let it allow to harden. Once it has hardened up, what you can do is you can remove it, and now you have your bowl ready. So in this way, you can make these kind of beautiful crafts using this paper mache technique. It's a very unique thing, and it is something which can be utilized in reducing the amount of paper that we are throwing in the garbage, right? So any stray paper that you might find, you can keep it, and once you have enough, you can make this kind of craft items, right? This can be used for various purposes. Maybe you can gift it to your mom so that she can keep her, small ornaments in it. You can also make using a bottle. You can also make a pen holder for your dad, and different things which you can do, right? So in this way, students, this is something why we are discussing this, because it is something that you can also do. It is not something very big, right? So before throwing it into throwing anything into the waste, we should first of all think that whether or not we can use it in any way, right? So one more thing which is important over here, we saw the bottles, how we can utilize them, the papers, the stray papers, that how we can utilize them. Apart from that, there is one more thing which is major hazard for our environment, and it forms a very large part of the garbage. And what is that? That is polythene bags, right? So polythene bags are one of the major parts of the garbage, and usually what happens is that whenever you go out, right, whenever you go out, you usually ask for polythenes to keep your stuff. So instead of asking polythenes from the shopkeeper, one should always carry a bag with themselves. You know that you're going out to buy something. Always keep a cloth bag or a jute bag with you, so that you don't need to ask for the polythene. Now suppose that you went out and you did not intend to buy anything, and suddenly you see something and you want to buy it. So the shopkeeper might give you a polythene bag. So instead of throwing that polythene bag, keep it with you and utilize it again, right? So a polythene bag should be utilized again and again as much as you can, instead of throwing it away instantly. So suppose once, say you got a bunch of apples and you have a polythene with them. Take out the apples, keep the polythene safely. Next time when you go out, keep the polythene with you, so that if you want to buy anything, immediately you can use that polythene, right? So what we are doing over here is we are reusing, right? So we can reuse the things like polythene bags, right? Also, the cloth bag is environment friendly. Apart from that, the jute bag is also environment friendly. Nowadays, shopkeepers also keep the cloth bag with them. Usually big shops have these cloth bags, and suppose if you don't have, they offer you the option of giving you these cloth bags. So you should always opt for taking the cloth bag instead of a polythene. Government has also made various norms into which they are banning the use of polythene bags, right? So people are actually, the shopkeepers are, they do not actually keep these polythene bags anymore, right? So it's reducing day by day. So if you are not carrying a cloth bag with you, or a bag with you to shop, you will definitely face a little problem, because people are avoiding keeping these bags, these polythene bags, because one thing is that first of all, the government has banned it, and they actually put fine on the people, those who are using these bags, right? So this is something which the government has done for us, but what we can do is to reduce the amount of garbage that we are producing, especially the polythene bags, is to reuse them, right? One thing is reusing these bags, right? Another thing, as you can see, is that different paper, you can using different papers over here. You can see it's a beautiful it's a beautiful craft which has been done with the help of newspapers, right? So using different materials from the garbage, you can actually make different kinds of craft, and which will look very beautiful. You just have to keep your mind open, and you just have to look for the things which you can reuse or you can repurpose, right? That means what you can do is that either you can reuse it, suppose the polythene bags can be used as is, or repurpose means that like we saw in the previous picture, what we did was we took these bottles and made them into plants, right? Plant pots, right? So in this way we see how we are repurposing different things. Another thing which you might notice around you are the rag pickers. Students, these rat pickers are usually children which you see around yourself, and many a times you might have not noticed their presence. These are the people who separate the garbage. That means what they do is, whatever garbage is being thrown out, from that garbage they pick up these bottles, they pick up the pieces of clothes, they pick up papers, right? If these magazines, if they have been thrown out, all these things they separate from the garbage that cannot be used, right? So this is something which is a very important part of the sanitation. These people actually pick up all these things and they go to the recycling, the people who will recycle these things, and they sell it over there, right? So what happens over here, these people are very important part, and usually it's a tragedy that these are children. And if you happen to see such children around you, if you ask them, you will be able to see that they are not going to schools, and they are underprivileged students, but they are underprivileged children, but they have a very important role to play in our sanitation. So if you think about it, that how you will be able to help these children is to separate out the garbage yourself. That means that you can think of these bottles, and you can separate out yourself before throwing it out into the garbage. So in this way we see that how the garbage that we produce can be repurposed, it can be reused, and we can be a responsible citizen of the world, right? Why am I saying responsible citizen of the world? Because this problem is not associated only with a country, it is the problem of the whole world, right? So as the garbage that is being produced every day is huge, and if we can contribute it, if we contribute a little to the society by doing our bit, that would be great, right? So that is why it is very important to think before we throw anything out in the garbage. The things that you can do for the useful, like we have already seen that for non-useful things like your vegetable peels which cannot be reused, these can be turned into compost. And again, this can be done on the individual basis, or you can actually do it on your society. So what you can do is you can gather all your neighbors and you can make a compost bin, and everybody can benefit. The environment also will benefit from this, right? Now, this is a very interesting activity, students, and you love doing it because the end result is really nice. There are two things. One, it is a craft. It is a very interesting and very fun activity. And other thing is that you are actually helping the environment by recycling the paper, right? So now let's go ahead and start this particular activity. First, let's see what do we require. So we would require pieces of paper, right? First of all, what we would require is pieces of paper. Now this paper can be your old newspaper, your notebooks, but over here you need to remember that you should not use shiny paper. The reason for that is that the shiny paper actually has a thin film of plastic over it, right? So over here we will see that if we use that paper, then we will not be able to get a proper pulp, right? So we are not going to use that paper. Instead, we are going to use any kind of old newspaper or old extra stray paper if you have certain notebooks and all that. Apart from that, what you need to do is you need a mesh, right? That is right. Then next what you need is a frame fitted mesh, as you can see in this image, right? So you can use a frame fitted mesh, or you can use a net, right? You can use a large sieve, right? So in this way you can use anything which has basically a sieve, right? So in this way you can see that over here also we have a mesh over here. Now let's see what we are going to do to recycle the papers. First of all, what we are going to use is we are going to tear these papers into very small sizes, right? So we are going to tear the paper, right, in small pieces, right? So what we are going to do, we are tearing whatever pieces we have, right, into very small whatever paper we have into small pieces. Then what we are going to do is we are going to add it in a big bowl, and we are going to put water in it, right? So we are going to pour. We can take these pieces, put it in tub, and then we are going to pour water in the tub, right? Wherever this you have used, whatever you've used, the vessel that you've used, you're going to put the pieces, right? So you're going to put the pieces in that vessel, and what you're going to do is you're going to add water into it. Remember students, the water that you add should not be a lot, like meaning suppose this is the tub that you're using or a bucket that you're using. It shouldn't be that there are only 10 to 5 pieces floating, right? And then till here you have the bucket full. No, it shouldn't be like that. The pieces should be such that, first of all, you should tear a lot of paper for this, and the pieces should be such that it is just submerged, right? And you have to keep this, right? So you can keep the paper pieces. I will just write pieces over here. I think you'll be able to understand. You will keep these pieces submerged in water for a whole day, right? Submerged in water, right? And this you will keep for a whole day, right? So for one day, complete one day, you're going to keep these pieces submerged. And what will happen is that once you keep it for submerged for a day, these pieces will convert into a thick paste, right? This will convert these pieces. What will happen is that these pieces will start to convert into a paste, right? Because it will absorb water and it will start disintegrating, and it will convert into a paste. And you can make it into a thick paste by pounding on it, right? So make a thick paste. Make a thick paste, right? So how you can do it? By pounding. That means you're going to you're going to use a little force, and you're going to pound on it, right? Once you do that, excess water, whatever water is there, it will be removed and the paste will thicken, right? Now once you have thickened this paste, next thing is spread this paste on the mesh, right? So like this, you can see how paste has been spread over here, you can see. So you need to spread the paste on the mesh, right? Once you have made a thick paste out of it, remember students, this point is very, very important. It might seem a very small point, but it is important to remove any excess water so that you can create a thick paste which can be spread, right? So now you will spread it. Now you will spread the paste on the mesh. Once you have spread the paste on the mesh, now you will pat it gently to make the thickness of the layer even, right? So you have spread, suppose this is the mesh, and over here you have spread the paste, right? Now remember students, this paste is uneven and you need to pat it gently, right? Suppose this is your paste, so you need to pat it gently so that the thickness of this paste remains even, right? If suppose you will pat it a little hard, what will happen? That at one place you might put a lot of pressure, whereas on the other place you might not put that much of pressure, and it will be an uneven surface. But you do not want that. You want that the thickness of the paper should be even. As much as possible, it should be even throughout the whole page or throughout the whole paper, right? So what you're going to do is that you're going to pat gently, right? Pat gently. The reason to do that is to even the thickness. So you are trying to even out the thickness of this particular or you are trying to even out the thickness of this particular paste. So what you're going to do is you're going to keep this paste undisturbed for some time, and you're going to allow the water to drain away, right? Once the water has drained away, if you see that there is excess water, so what you can do is you can spread a tissue or a newspaper so that excess water can be soaked, right? So once the excess water is soaked by these newspapers, the next step is to keep this newspaper. So once what you have done is that you have allowed the excess water to be drained off and the newspaper to soak up the excess water. what you're going to do is you're going to remove this layer gently, right? You are remember students, this step has to be done when you are able to see that okay, now it is okay to remove this paper. Otherwise, if you do it a little early without the water being drained off, what will happen? You might tear off the paper from here, right? Or from wherever you pick, it might happen that you will tear off the paper. Once you have done it, spread this particular sheet on a newspaper and keep it in the sun. What will happen? Whatever extra moisture is there in the sun, when you will keep it, this particular moisture will be taken up by the sun and it will dry off completely. Now here you have to keep a very important point in mind, that you need to keep a little pressure on the four corners, right? So over here also you need to keep a little pressure, a weight that is, and over here also and over here also. Why? So that these ends do not curl up when they are they are drying off in the sun, right? So if you do not follow this step, these ends might curl up. So to avoid that, we are going to put weight on all the four sides. Keep it for some time, and say if it's very sunny, it's very hot, so by the evening you will see that the paper has dried off, and in this way you will find that you have created a recycled paper. Now there's one more thing that you can do to make this exercise a little more interesting, and that is adding the materials like flowers, like leaves, like different kinds of leaves, and also you can add a little ink to the paper. And what will happen in this case is, you will while you are making and spreading the paste, add all these things like this, right? Like it is shown over here, and then you do all the activities as I have already discussed. Then the end result would be something like this, and as you can see, it's a very beautiful recycled paper, right? So you can see how pretty it is, and this can be used for various purposes. It can be used for invitation, it can be used as a greeting card, or whatever, it can be used for various purposes, and in this way you can make beautiful recycled papers, right? So over here you can see how different leaves have been used. You can use rose petals, you can use petals of different kind of beautiful flowers, and you can make different recycled papers. So in this way we see that how we are creating the recycled paper at home, and this again helps us in reducing the garbage, and also it's a fun activity for all.